In this video, I'm going to do some object-oriented programming by extending this guy right here. We did this in the last video, that's social NPC, and we're going to make a defensive NPC by making a subclass. In this subclass, we're going to add two states to our finite state machine, an attack state and a cooldown state. So if we attack him, let's sneak behind him, right? Let's sneak behind him. And we attack him. Boom, he's going to turn. He's in the attack state, and it says, that's what you get. And then he's happy again. So we change his face and stuff like that. I thought that'd be pretty cool. I'll give you the code to this so you could follow along exactly. Now, if you want to just do an attack state for your finite state machine and you don't want to do the entire sequence, the entire playlist, that's all right. I'll put this link in the description. You come here, you can get a copy of the game, and that's going to give you the social NPC that we're going to modify for our attack state. So get these three dots here, and you'll see this edit in studio, but not this other stuff. Click edit in studio. You're going to get a copy of the game. You have to save it off to your account, and I'm going to save it off so I don't mess up the game that I'm sharing with you. I'll do a publish to Roblox as, and I'll hit a create new game. What should we call this? How about something like NPC AI full state machine? I'll put attack, the attack state. Attack with a K, state, bid, 5. There, nice and descriptive. Well, if you're following along, it's kind of descriptive. It's kind of cryptic if you don't know what we're doing. Let's just go ahead and hit create so we can start modifying this new game. And close. So in the game we're starting with, we have in replicated storage some AI module scripts, right? We have the base NPC and the social NPC. We are going to make another one. We're going to extend social NPC. And then in server storage, we have average Joe and social Sam. We need a new one. Let's start with him. Let's start with a new NPC. Go to avatar and then rig builder. You could pick R15 or R6, but I would keep them the same. Shouldn't really matter too much because we're not doing animation yet, but the least amount of things that you change when you're learning, probably the easier. All right, so we got our rig right here. We got to think of a name for this guy. How about like Defensive Dan? Because Dan can attack you back. And I want to get rid of that little thing above him. You could keep it, but it gets him in the way of my speech bubble, and I don't feel like messing with that. So with the humanoid selected on Defensive Dan, go down to display distance type. Instead of viewer, hit none. That'll get rid of that little sign. We need to get some body colors so that Roblox doesn't flag us. They gave us body colors, but they're all gray. So I'm just going to delete it and then add a new one. So we have some default colors, body colors. And I'm going to give him a different color shirt so I know who is who. And let's give him, instead of dark green, that might be average Joe's. I don't remember. Red. We haven't used that. I know we don't have a red. Right? And I use that in the demo, so it'll make sense. Cool. Now this animate's not going to help us because that is a local script and we have a server entity right here. Our NPC is server side. So I'm going to delete that one. If you want to know how I did this, it's not that hard. I'm going to just grab the one from base NPC. Let's open them up. Oh, that's my modules. Sorry. Average Joe is my base NPC, but social Sam will also work. We're going to get this animate. Right, I just put everything into a server script, but it's got all the little animations down there too. Did I copy it? Yeah, let's copy it again. So get our animate, and we're gonna stick that in Defensive Dan. Paste into. There we go. What else? We need to tag them too. Just go up to your ribbon up here and right click. We'll look for the tag editor. Remember, there's two. Oh, here's the other one. So if you feel lucky, actually they both work, right? So I have the NPC tag for average Joe, social NPC for social Sam, and let's make a new one. Let's call this defensive. Got to remember how to spell it. Defensive NPC. There we go. And click Defensive Dan right here on the model level, and then go ahead and tag them. All right, I can close this. And now I'm going to drag Defensive Dan down to server storage right here, server storage. Cool. So we should have average Joe, defensive Dan, and social Sam. Oh, you know what else we should do? We should add health to defensive Dan if he's going to be in combat and stuff, right? Go ahead and play your game. We'll just grab our health script from our character, right? So go to the workspace, find your character. Here it is, SimTech Gamer 7. Open them up. And you got that health script there. Let's just grab that. Copy. And then turn your game off. And you're going to go down to defensive Dan, right? That's the character, and then paste into defensive Dan character. And now he has health, so he'll get better over time at the same rate you do. Now, before we start spawning defensive Dan, and we do our spawning of AI characters in AI Server Manager, we'll get back to that in a second. But before we do that, we're going to need a module script for our AI, for our defensive NPC AI functionality. So go to Replicated Storage AI Modules, hit the plus, and then let's get a module script. We'll call this defensive NPC, right? Now, we don't want to do this from scratch, right? We want to inherit our stuff from social NPC so we don't have to do the code twice, right? I think I'm going to change this where it says module to defensive NPC, right? Just copy that. We changed it there. We got to change it here. And we're going to require our social NPC module script. So let's do this local social NPC equals require. And that is just up a level and then down a level, right? So we go, let's close this one, right? Go to AI modules, and then we'll get our social NPC that way. So I can do script.parent, and then we'll do social NPC. Now we have access to social NPC. We're not inheriting it yet. We're going to set that up soon. Let's do our defensive NPC dot __ index meta method in case we want to extend this functionality into another class, right? We don't want to have to forget. We don't want to forget about it and wonder why it's not working. All right, so we have that. I think I'm going to do my inheritance from social NPC right here. Should we put a little note? Maybe, how about inherit from social NPC, just in case you don't remember. We're going to do set meta table. We'll get the defensive NPC, and we're going to say, hey, let's grab anything from social NPC. Let's use that one. You know what? I think I'm going to make these capital. I know I usually make these lower cases for variables, but when I'm doing the classes, I like to stay consistent with the documentation. So we have a capital S there, social NPC. Now, much like the social NPCs, I may want to keep track of how many objects I've made with this class. So I'll do a static table. I'm going to do a comment right here. I'm going to say track all instances of this defensive NPC. Defensive NPC. How we're going to do that? Well, we'll do defensive NPC dot instances. And we'll just make that an empty table right now. All right, what else? Let's get some setup for our finite state machine, right? This is going to be kind of tricky. I'm going to do a little comment. I'm going to say FSM for finite state machine states table. So we'll say states table. What are we going to do here? We are going to fall back to social NPC dot states. Like we have access to it, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my defensive NPC, and then I'm going to make a states table for that. I'm going to use set meta table, get that empty. I'm going to make an empty table right there. And then I am going to do this tricky thing here with an __ index equals social NPC states, right? So we are going to, if we're going to populate our defensive NPC states with like attack and cooldown, but we might want to use the states from here. So we're going to set the meta table. But I didn't have an __ index for my NPC states defined. So I had to do it there. That's a little workaround. You'll actually see that quite often. Now, we need a constructor, right? So we need to create a new instance of our defensive NPC. So function defensive NPC dot new and we'll do model. So that's where we're going to pass in the model, which is actually defensive Dan in this case, right? Let's create our table object right here. So I'll just call it object. A lot of people call this self, but it's not truly self here. So I'm going to say object equals, we'll say set metadata. I'm going to use the social NPC constructor. So social NPC.new, pass the model in to get our base table. The base table is going to be the social NPC. And then we're going to say, hey, add all the defensive NPC stuff using the set meta table. So we'll be able to use all the functionality in both of these, right? And now I want to make sure that we keep track of our defensive NPC dot instances. So any instance we create, we're going to put it in the static table right here, just to keep track, using the model as a key. What else? Let's get, we're going to have a variable for who we're attacking. I think I'll call this attack target, right? And we'll set that to nil. They're not going to start out attacking somebody when they're created. Then we'll do an object. We're going to have to keep track of whether we're attacking or not. Are we in the middle of trying to hurt an enemy? We'll say is attacking. All right, that's going to be our action verb. And then we'll have object, last health. We have to keep track of our health because we have to know if we got hurt. And when we get hurt, we're going to use the creator tag to see who hurt us. So if you don't know the creator tag pattern, we're going to go over that briefly, but it should be enough to get you up and running. Now, on our object, we do have the hum, right? Because we got our base object as social NPC. Hum is on the base NPC that social NPC inherited. So we have a humanoid, right? I spell hum as humanoid, and that's going to be the health. All right, so we're going to just start out by initializing the health when we create our object. Now let's get our object hum, and then listen for the health changed event. I'm going to say health changed. We are going to connect that to a function, and the new health is going to get passed in when that fires off. So if somebody hurts our NPC, they're going to know when they got hurt. And then let's just pay attention to new health being less than object health. What was that? Last health, right? Last health. Because we're going to get better because we have a health script. And every time we get a health point back, we're not going to want to fire anything. It's going to fire this off, but what we're going to do is just jump right out of it again. It won't require too many resources. So, but if our health goes down, we got to know about that. So let's put a little note. We'll say find attacker with, I spelled attacker wrong, didn't I? Is that better? Yeah. With creator tag. I'm going to put a print statement down here so we could check our work. I'll say print looking for enemy. There we go. Oh, and don't forget, since this is firing off every time the health changed, let's update last health after that if. Last health equals, and it will be, we can just do it new health, right? We got the new health coming in. So we'll give it the new health. Last but not least, let's return the object. And return obj. All right, let's test this sooner rather than later because this is going to be kind of a complicated video. We want to catch errors early on. So let's go to server script service, open up the AI server manager, spawn defensive Dan into the workplace so we could check to see if everything's all right. I am going to, at the top of the script, I am going to make a variable for our defensive NPC. We will require from replicated storage in the AI modules folder, the defensive Dan NPC module script. Then we'll be able to call this. Now our spawn NPC is working fine, right? We just passed the class in that we need. Don't have to change anything. Here, we put our base NPCs in the world. We only have one. Then we put our social NPCs in the world. Let's copy that. What do you think we're going to do next? We are going to put our defensive NPCs in the world. Now we only have one, but I'll do a loop just in case we want more than one. So we'll say defensive NPCs. I'm just going to do defensive, Control C, Control V, make that defensive NPC. Control C, Control V. That should do it. That should put our defensive Dan in the workplace. Let's play it and see what we got. Let's hit the play button. And then we'll go view output, check the output window, make sure we don't have any errors. We don't. There's social NPC. There's base NPC. There's our defensive NPC. If we shoot him, we should see something like looking for enemy. Sweet, we got it. Looking for enemy. Now, this shooting him doesn't detract from our friendship score. We will do that, though. We're going to need to do that. So we can still be friends with him. We're going to say, hi, but he doesn't know us yet, right? So he says, do I know you? Nope. And then, do I know you? Let's kill zombies. Let's kill zombies. And then he knows us, right? Because we talked to him 3 times. Hey, man, good seeing you. And then when we run, he'll say, hey, Simtech Gamer 7, wait up. Oh, we got this guy following us too. That's all right. We're just testing things out. It's working. We'll turn the game off, get rid of the output window. And before we go back to our defensive NPC, we need to get creator tags on our weapon. So, or any weapons that we're using, we have to have a creator tag. I went to the home tab here. I'm going to go to the toolbox. I'm just going to get a classic sword from Roblox so that we could do the creator tag. I'll say sword. I'll just copy theirs, right? They wrote it long ago. Yep, 2 scripts. And I'm going to open up the classic sword. Creator tag will be on the server script of most of the older Roblox weapons. And they're on the newer ones too, like in the gun stuff, but they don't hook it up, right? They'll have them sitting there. They just don't hook it up. So we have our sword script. How do we find it? Let's do a Control F and then just do creator. Look at that. Creator tag right here. I'm going to get the tag humanoid and untag humanoid. Let's do a Control C. And then I'm going to go, where do we got our gun at? Oh, it's in starter pack. Starter pack, pistol. Let's get the damage script. We need it on the server. We need it on a server script. Open it up. And then near the top of the script, right? There's not that much in my damage script for simple pistol. And you could do this to your weapons too. It's not that hard. I did a Control V to paste. Now, in my regular scripts, all of my variables and my functions, I keep it lowercase just as convention. And I also keep these local, right? So you don't have to do that. See how that's red there where it says debris? We don't have a debris service. Let's get that in there. Let's do local debris equals game get service debris. And then we'll just make that lowercase. All right. I'm not going to worry about changing the case on this because these are just local variables. And then make that a lowercase u. And I'm going to put a local in front of it. Nice. That's looking good. So this pops off any of the tags that's already on the humanoid. This creates a tag. If you hurt somebody, it puts your information in that tag. And then if the person dies, they can find out, we can find out who killed that player or that NPC, and then we could credit them, right? That's how you get the kills and deaths with the creator tag. So I'm going to go down here while we do damage. Right before we do damage, we are going to untag the humanoid. We're going to pop off other people's tags so they don't get credit for the kill. I do have a video on assists. It's a little tricky, but if you're interested in keeping them on, just changing it to an assist tag, you can look that up. And then we're going to get our tag humanoid. We're going to pass in the humanoid and the player that did the hurting right before we give them damage. That way, if they kill them on this one, they're tagged. And that tag is going to last 2 seconds. See if you go up here, 2. And this will work good. 2 seconds. That's fine. Now I want to get a gun for our defensive NPCs. So I'm going to grab that pistol in the starter pack and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go up to our replicated storage AI modules, look for defensive NPC, click on it, right click, paste into. All right. So we aren't going to do remote operation of the gun. I'm going to integrate the gun code and the defensive NPC code so I can get rid of these 2 scripts. We basically just need the gun. Oh, we don't need the remote event either. There we go. I am going to keep the handle because it's going to have the sound, and we're going to want roll off sound. So we want to have it on the handle, and the NPC is going to hold the gun. Configuration, I think I'm going to keep the configuration there so that we can change the damage without going through all of the code in our NPC, or our defensive NPC. Let's open our defensive NPC and get some variables to operate that gun. All right, so underneath my states, my defensive NPC states, I'm going to put the gun variables. All right, I'll just put a little comment. Weapon stuff. Right, there we go. And then I'll do local. I'm going to get a transient variable. I'm not going to use this very much. That's why I use that underscore. If you see that underscore, it usually means, hey, we're going to be very localized with that. There's some other reasons people use it too, but that's how I use it. Right. So I'm going to do underscore pistol because I'm not actually going to use that pistol variable anywhere other than here. You're going to see what I'll do. I'm going to do the script, wait for child, and we have the pistol right there, right? And then I'm going to do an underscore config, and that's on the pistol, right? So we have our underscore pistol, wait for child, configuration, so that we can get our damage. What else will I need? Oh, let's do a static variable for the defensive NPC. We're going to add the pistol template, right? So I'll say pistol template. We are going to clone every time we need the pistol. It's an easier way of doing it. I'm just going to do that underscore pistol. All right. And then I'm also going to do defensive NPC dot weapon damage. I'll use the underscore config, wait for child, damage, and then we need the dot value. Right. So I did this underscore stuff just to make these lines a little bit easier so it wouldn't be a multi-line thing. And while we're in here assigning variables, let's get happy sad faces too, or happy angry faces. So let's do a local angry face. All right, we got to find an angry face ID, and then we have the happy face. So we're just going to use the default one. Happy face equals, and then I'll put the speech quotes. Let's take a look at where our NPC is server storage, and then whatever the normal face. I should just write normal face. But defensive Dan, we'll open him up. Head, there's his face, and we have this texture right here. We can copy it, Control C, just so we keep track of our happy face. And then we have to go and find an angry face. So let's go back to our game. Click on the Home tab, and then we'll go to Toolbox. Under the Creator Store, let's get decals. I'm going to do face. And you can get whatever faces you want. I think I'm going to find... There's a mean face. There it is, angry face. Let's go ahead and copy asset ID. Now, sometimes I have trouble remembering how they do the prepending of that ID for our texture. So I'm just going to click that texture on his face, do a Control V, and then hit it. Oh, yeah, there it is. RBX asset ID. And then I'm just going to copy it. I didn't even need that, right? I can do a Control C to copy it. And then if I want to switch it back, do a Control Z, it goes back to the face, right? I just couldn't really remember how to do that prepending. Let's go to our defensive NPC. Oh, look at that. It actually had it right there. Let's see if it's the same. No, it isn't. They put the ID on there. That's what messes me up. All right, that's pretty cool. So now we can switch our faces too. Now, what are we going to need in the way of new methods inside of our table? We have our constructor right here. Let's go below the constructor, and we're going to start adding some new methods. I am going to override the set state. You could tell that it's working now because it still has social SAM capabilities. It goes back to the social SAM set state. But in our defensive NPC, so I don't make any typos, we're going to have some extra flags that we want to take care of in set state. This is actually going to be pretty handy to do so that you see how to override stuff in Lua. How about let's do a print just to make sure we're calling this. We're going to say print new state equals, and now we got our new state, And we want to manually call the social NPC state before we do our stuff in the defensive NPC state. So we're going to get the social NPC. Now we can't do the colon, right? It's going to get messed up. We're going to do a dot, but it is a colon in social NPCs. How do we handle that? We'll do our set state, and we can convert the dot to a colon if we pass in a self. So that's going to be like calling it with a colon. Kind of weird. It takes a little bit of getting used to. And now we are going to do set flags here. Set defensive flags, right? Set defensive flags and reset and stuff like that here. What else should we do? Let's go down a little bit. I'm going to do some skeleton functions here so we know what to set up. And I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say Control C, Control V, and then we want draw weapon, right? We have to draw our weapon. Oh man, there we go. What else? We need to holster the weapon, right? Function, Control V. I still had that in the buffer. Holster weapon. And then we need to find the recent attacker too, right? From the creator tag. So let's do function, Control V, and then find recent attacker. And function, how about a defensive fire at? So these are all colon, right? So they're all going to be methods. Let's say fire at. Let's pass in the player. All right. What else? Change face. Function, defensive NPC, change face. And that's going to be the mood, right? I'll just say face type. And that way, maybe we can use it for more than just happy and sad too. We might have different ones. Now we have our finite state machine stuff. I'm going to just scroll this up a little bit. So we'll say function. We have our defensive NPC dot states table dot attack, right? We're adding this. We're going to have to pass the self in. Function defensive NPC dot states dot cooldown, right? We're going to be like, that's what you get. I'll do a lowercase for the D and cooldown. Also pass self in there. Now I don't want to go too long without testing again. So I think a good thing to test for is who shot us, right? So we'll do the looking for the enemy part first. We do put a little space in there. We're making sure that our health went down. We're not going to do anything if the health didn't go down. And then we got to get our tag, right? So say local tag. I'm going to do the tag I'm going to look for the tag in the object colon find recent attacker method. All right, which we haven't populated out yet, but we will in a second. That's not going to be too much. And then let's do if tag and tag colon is a, do we want object value? Yes, we were using object value for the tags. And tag dot value colon is a, I'm going to just do players now, but we may want to change this if we're doing characters versus characters, right? Like NPCs may want to attack each other too. But for now, we're just going to do the player, right? And then we'll do the, whoops, ran out of room. Then I'm going to have to add this to another line. Let's do this. Let's do look for the tag. If the tag exists, do cut it right here in front of the and tag is an object value, and tag is a tag value is a player. Then let's do object dot attack target. Remember, we have to set the attack target property. Tag dot value, that's going to be the player. And now we'll do object colon increment friend score. Remember, we had that on Social Sam, but we don't have to rewrite it because we already got it on Social Sam and we inherited that. We'll do tag.value. That's going to pass in the player. And then you might want to do like -5 or -10 or something. It's kind of hard to come back from shooting somebody. Or you got to really be a friend in order for him to not want to kill you after you shot him. All right, that looks good. Not too much code there. I don't see any mistakes. Let's keep this short for our next test, though. I'm going to go down to find recent attacker, and I'll do if self.hum. So we're going to look at our humanoid. If we find the tag on self.hum, find first child, it's going to be the creator. We'll return the tag right here. We'll just say return tag. And just in case there was no humanoid, we could do a return nil. If you don't do this, though, it'll do that by default. Let's go ahead and hit the play button. All right, there's our social NPC or Social Sam running the social NPC software. And here is, what do we call him? Defensive Dan. Defensive Dan. Let's go to our view output and see if we get any errors when we shoot him and see if we get the creator tag information. Looking for enemy. So the friend score was updated by -5 for SimTech Gamer 7. That's good. That's showing that we are actually getting creator tag information. And you can use other weapons with the creator tag. Here's the sword. When I picked it up, we got a couple cuts in there and the sword's working for that too. All right, that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and close this output window. We'll turn the game off, go back to our defensive NPC. Let's take a look at draw weapon. So for draw weapon, we'll say if not self, and I didn't define a pistol element. That's all right. We'll see if there is a pistol in our table/object, right? But if there's not a pistol, then let's go ahead and add one. Let's say self pistol equals defensive NPC dot pistol template : clone. All right, and then we can get our self pistol dot parent will be the model, self.model. We definitely have the model. That's what we created our object with. All right, that looks good. So that will arm our NPC if he's not already armed. Let's go down to change face so that we can see that too. That's a good thing to add at the same time. All right, so I'll do local. I want to get the head of defensive Dan or whatever defensive NPC we have. Self.model. All right, that's our character. Find first child. That's a head. And they'll say if head, then let's get the face. Local face. And this might change a little bit on your NPC. So make sure your NPC has a face, right? Mine has a decal that says face with a lowercase f. All right, so we'll say head, find first child, face. Got to spell it like it is here, right? The decal face. All right, and then we're going to switch out the ID for that. So if face and, so if we get a face and then the face type, that's what we passed in, will be say angry, then face texture, right? We should have a texture here. Oh, it doesn't help me with that. Texture equals angry face, right? We got that up there. We got that ID. And then else, we'll just, if it's something else, we'll just make it go back to the normal texture, right? And we had it as happy face, but it's the normal one. It's the default face. So in the spirit of incremental testing, let's go to our attack state and get enough in that so that it has us draw the weapon and change the face. First thing I want to do in our attack state is if we are attacking, we want to get out. We don't want to do it again, right? We're already attacking. So self is, if is attacking, then we'll just return, right? Another thing, we need to have our attack target, right? It's possible we could have lost it for some reason. So if not self, that's attack target, or let's make sure that they haven't left the game or whatever. not self attack target dot parent, and maybe to be, that's if they leave, right? If they leave the game. Oh, and it could be that they're leaving or they died and they're coming back in and the character's not quite ready. So I'll do another one. I'll say, or, whoops, I did it, or not self attack target dot character. Then I know that's a big line. Let's go at the or. Should we do it at the or? Just put them on different lines. You could keep it all in one line, but I want you to be able to see the code. And then if that's the case, then let's just have our guy go back to idle then, right? So we're not going to jump out. We will set state to idle. Now we're not setting the flags yet. So that's a little bit of a problem, but that's not really what we're worried about. We'll return. But we're going to get that, right? We haven't done anything with set state other than just call the one from social stam. Let's see. So we got this part. We know that the character exists. So we'll say local. I'm going to call it pchar for the player character, right? So pchar equals self attack target dot character, right? That's just a little easier to write. And then let's get our p humanoid, the player humanoid. Oh, and that's right. We can get that right from the pchar, right? Pchar. Let's do find first child. Find first child, and then humanoid. We will check, make sure if not phum, right, for whatever reason we couldn't find the humanoid, or phum dot health is greater than or equal to 0, little space in there, then self set state cooldown, lowercase, right? Our cooldown state is cooldown with lowercase d. Yes, that'll work. All right. So when our character dies, or if they died or something like that, it finds out they're dead, then we're just going to go into cooldown. We don't have anything in cooldown right now. It's all right. We will. Now here, now we're ready. So they're not dead. They're there. We are not attacking as of now. Let's do draw weapon. Draw weapon. Mashing some keys together there. Oh, now we can speak too, right? Base NPC has the capability of speaking, and that goes all the way up through social NPC to defensive NPC. So we'll do self speak about you'll regret that with an R in there. Regret that. And then have to do a string concatenator. Self attack target dot name. Oh, let's put an exclamation part. String exclamation point. String concatenator exclamation mark. All right, that's kind of long. There we go. Now we can see it. We could change the face too. We want to check that. So we'll say self change face, and we're going to send in the angry face. Now, where will the attack state get triggered? That is going to be up here. In the constructor, we made a hook for the health changed event. If that happens and he gets less healthy and we find a creator tag because someone did some damage, let's fire off our attack state right here. Let's do obj for object, set state, attack. And now we can try it out. We should be able to fire off our attack state. So hit the play, view, output window. There's our guy. Pistol. Boom, look at that. You'll regret that, Simtech Gamer 7. So he's not following us yet. That's all right. He's not firing yet either. I think that's what we should do next. Let's go ahead and close our output window, turn off our game, go back to defensive NPC. Now I think we should do the fire method. So let's go down here, look for fire. Right? We got our weapon out. We got our angry face on. Let's go ahead and shoot the gun. So say if player, then make sure that the player exists. It's not nil. We'll do local. Let's get the player's character, right? So say player.character. There we go. Character. We got to check to see if that's there. If pchar, then Let's get the player humanoid root part, right? Pchar, find first child, humanoid root part, humanoid. Make sure you spell this right because it won't work and you won't get an error because we're going to check to make sure that it's there. If it's not there, we're just going to skip through, right? I'm going to do a control V right here, which is, I know, is a little bit risky because we're just going to make some modifications and that could be a problem. All right, we got it. My HRP, we need to know where we're at. We need to know where the player's at. And then that will be self.model, right? Self.model. That's our defensive Dan's HRP. Well, when we do this, right? Nice. Probably should have done that. There's more chance of messing up by cutting and pasting than just by typing it. So if PHRP and MHRP exist, then we can pivot, right? We know where we're at. We know where they're at. We are going to change my HRP C frame. We'll do dot C frame. We are going to create a new C frame. We're going to use the position of my HRP, which is my my NPC, the defensive NPC, and then the player HRP position, right? So we're creating a C frame at this position, looking in this direction, right? That's what this constructor does for the C frame. Then let's just wait like a tiny little bit of time, right? Because you're going to get hurt. And just a split second, then he'll face, right? Then he'll face. And then we'll get the player humanoid from our player char. Find first child. Humanoid. If P, we got to check, make sure that's there too. If P hum, then I'm going to move the code up. Hold on. Just so we have a little more room. We want to get the handle of the weapon for the bang. So I'm actually going to do my pistol coding right in here. I'm not going to send a message to the pistol to fire off. It's more efficient this way. So, but less flexible. So I'm going to get the handle of the pistol, right? Self.pistol, right? And then I'm going to do find first child handle because that's where the sound was on. The sound was on the handle. And we don't want the original handle, we want the cloned handle, which is in our self dot pistol, because we want to have roll off for sound. So if handle, then local sound equals handle find first child. We had a sound on that thing. Hold on. Yeah, the starter pack. We took the scripts out for our pistol. It's called bang. Right. If you look up on defensive Dan, where is he? He's in there's defensive Dan. Oh, it's on the NPC module script, right? Pistol, handle, bang. So it's the same order, right? We're just going to get that sound. Bang. Right. This is the script we're modifying now. We have the pistol attached to it. We have the handle attached to the pistol. Bang. Ooh, let's check to make sure this isn't anchored. It shouldn't be. We should have ran into problems already if it was anchored. There, no, make sure that that's not anchored. Make sure the handle does not get anchored or else he's going to have some funny results. All right, so now let's do sound play. All right, now we'll just do the damage, right? P hum, take damage. And then we'll do defensive NPC dot weapon damage. Do we have a weapon damage? We do have a weapon damage. The weapon damage is in the configuration right here. So you could just change it on the weapon. On the script, right? Nice. All right, we got to get that thing firing off. Let's just go down to the attack state right here, and then down where we make our angry face, we'll just fire our pistol, right? Self, and then we have, what is it? Fire at. I keep saying fire, but it's fire at. Self dot attack target. All right, so it should just fire once because if we're already attacking, it should return, but we aren't setting this flag. So it will attack every time our AI server manager fires off a decision to be made by our NPC. That's okay though. We can just test. There we go. There's defensive Dan, view, output. Oh, we can get him to turn too, right? So let's check that. There he is. There we go. So he is firing. Now we need to make the firing independent of the decision. Should we try it again? Sweet. Yeah. So it's going off every time we make a decision. We need to fix that. And then we have to have it firing maybe more rapidly, but independent. Boom, 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 boom. And then he dies, right? Let's go back to defensive NPC, and we're going to finish off our attack state. So is attacking isn't doing anything right now because we're not setting it anywhere. Let's go down to the bottom, and this is where we did our fire at. I'm going to replace it right now because I'm going to spawn a thread. Let's spawn, do a task.spawn, an anonymous function. So this is going to be a non-blocking thread. We'll say self is attacking is now true. Right? And once we set that, we're not going to enter back into the attack state. It's going to kick us out right in the beginning. Let's do a while loop. So while self, and then what do we want? Current state. Current state equals attack. Just going to do an extra check there in case something weird happens. And phum dot health is greater than 0. So that's the player humanoid. If they die, we'll stop attacking. And how about self dot hum dot health is greater than 0. So if we die, we stop attacking. Let's get this on another line. I'll hit it right at the end. Boom. All right. That's just so you can see it. You can keep it all in one line if you want. Let's do a slight task dot wait. I think I'm going to do rapid attacks. Boom, 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 boom. Right. So let's try. How about 0.2 seconds? And you can change that. You might even want to put that under your configuration for your weapon. Right. That way you can modify it from outside of this code. We can do if phum dot health is greater than 0. Just going to do one extra check right before we fire, right? Because we did a little bit of a wait. Could have died. With self. Fire at, right? That was our fire at. And that is what is it? Attack target. Cool. We get here. We get down outside of the while loop. So we're just going to keep firing until they die or we die. For now, those are the only two things. There might be some other stuff that I haven't accounted for, but that's the main events. So when we get down here, we are going to say is attacking is now false, right? And I'm also going to reset that in our set state just to be sure. So it's going to be a little bit of a redundancy there. If self dot current state equals attack, it should, right? Just being cautious. Then we'll say self set state to cool down. Let's test it out. Let's hit the play button. And now we should have a faster fire rate, right? And we're not going to have the decision to interrupt our fire rate. So you're not going to hear any weird patterns. Ooh, let's go view output window though. There we go. Shoot them. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And then we have the new state was attack. And then we went into cooldown. So that's looking good. Let's go ahead and close our output window and turn off the game, go back to defensive NPC, finish this thing off. So we got 3 more things, right? We got our cooldown, and then we need to holster the weapon. Where's that at? Let's do that first. Holstering the weapon way up here. Oh, and we also have to set our state flags because if we're following somebody, we're going to break that follow and go into attack. So we'll do that in a minute. Let's holster the weapon first. So I'll say if self dot soul, if it exists, then let's just destroy it, right? I'm just cloning new ones. I'm not doing the equip and unequip. I've done videos on that, but it does add some complexity to your code, right? So this is an easier way. All right, and now let's just go ahead and just for sure's set it to nil. All right, and then if it is destroyed, that's okay. Holster it'll just bail out after the if, or because of the if. Let's go down to cooldown. That's the next thing we want to work on. I'm going to do a funny thing here. I'm going to do if self dot single underscore in cooldown, then return. So I'm going to make This is a member variable, so I'm going to be able to use it throughout the code, but I'm putting this single underscore here saying, hey, I'm only going to use it in here, right? It just kind of keys me off to the fact that I shouldn't be setting that elsewhere. If I do set it elsewhere, I will refactor that code. So I know it's a little bit funny. It's a convention, more than just me use it, but you don't see it that often. So we're going to set this to true. If it is true, we're just going to return. We don't want to go down we don't want to go into cooldown too much because we're going to put our speech bubble up, right? So we'll say self speak, because the person just died, right? That's what you get. That's what you get. Nice. And then have them pause a little bit. And that's why we have this debounce right here, that member variable debounce. We'll do a task.delay, 2 seconds. Get a function in here. We will do self : change face. We're going to change the face back, right? He's back to happy face or default face. Happy. It doesn't really matter what you write in here. It's only catching the angry face when it changes face, but we may want to have more facial expressions. So we'll go ahead and write that in there. And then we're going to change state, right? So he's only going to be in cooldown for like 2 seconds. We'll go back to idle. And then when we get here, self._, we can free up our debounce, right? We can say that in cooldown is now false. Oh, and we have to holster our weapon. We could holster the weapon right here. That would make sense after a couple seconds. You want to do that there? Let's just do it like right after he says something. We'll say self, and then holster. Did I spell holster right? Holster weapon. There we go. We'll try it out. Hit the play button. Go view output. And I want to get close to him so I can see the text change. You'll regret that, Simtech. That's what you get. Oh, yeah. And then it goes away. That's pretty good. I like that. Now, the one thing that I want to stop. That dude again. If he's following me, I don't want him trying to switch direction while he's following somebody else and they attack, right? So we're going to break the follow if he attacks. We could reset it at some point if we want to. So the whole reason I overrode the set state way up here, there it is, set state, is so that we could break the follow when we do the attack, right? And I don't need this print statement anymore, I don't think. So I'm going to delete the print statement. I'm going to say if self.current state is not equal to new state, then, right? And then we'll do our stuff. We do that check in this one too, but we're going to do the check again so that we don't set flags or mess with flags if we didn't switch states. All right, so let's get the previous state here. Actually, let's do that before we get to social NPC. Let me get rid of that. So I'm going to say local previous self current state. And then when I come down here, say if previous equals follow and new state does not equal follow, then self.follow following, right? That's in the social NPC. No, that's back in base NPC. That's back for a while. So we inherited that. We're going to set the following to false. Now this next flag here is just a precaution. I'm going to say if new state does not equal attack, let's make sure our attack flag is off. So self is attacking is false. Make sure I'm spelling these right. Is attacking and following. Cool. And then it state equals idle. Then let's go ahead and free up our attack target. Attack target. right? And you might have to mess with this behavior, depending on what you want. This is just trial and error. If somebody's following somebody and then if my NPC's following somebody and he goes to attack somebody, I don't want him to try and follow and attack at the same time because we're facing that other person. It's going to give funny results. And here we actually turn this off when we leave the attack spawn, right? Past that spawn. But I just want to make sure. I want to make sure that it's false if it's not in attack mode. And you might want to put the follow target in here too as nil, but I'm just going to do it like this. Let's try it out. You won't see much new behavior with this. You'd have to get in the test server and start having multiple people doing stuff. Let's try it out though. Make sure we didn't put any new errors in with our code cleanup. Sometimes that happens. Boom. Yeah, the holster's nice too. That's looking good. I like it. Oh, that dude again. All right. Well, I will see you in the next video.